The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taormina.
Welcome to OAA Now. Here I'm Sammy Taormina, blogger around the OAA, and the host of BT, host of the last three brain cells on Orion Television. I'd like to welcome those hearing us on the local voice on SoundCloud, also those watching on Orion Television. Look who's back this week.
Hey, I'm back.
You're back after 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Feels like 3. Was it 3 weeks?
That's 3 weeks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Last few weeks has been just absolutely nuts.
Well, there's a lot going on here in Orion Township that we have a hand in here at ONTV. As you know, a new township building is being opened, and we had a lot of technical things that I had to take care of and make sure it's working.
A lot of basketball occurring this week.
Ton of basketball. We've got, continuing things going on in Oxford.
We got good news there. Oxford basketball opens up this week. You know what I mean? They're playing this week.
Yeah, how amazing is that? Get the kids back on the court. Try to
Wrestling starting to get back to practice.
Yep. Awesome.
Swimming, I know, has been starting to practice a little bit.
Yeah, it's we're full blown, and this is one of those weird times of the year, don't you think, Sammy? Where it's
Christmas
like
time.
Well, you got Christmas, you got the holidays, we got this funk, going on because of what happened in Oxford. He said, but we try to get into the sports season, and then it immediately is shut down because of the holidays, right? The kids go on break.
It doesn't usually happen during this time because there's a lot of Christmas tournaments that do occur.
Yeah.
The Motor City Round Ball occurs during this time. There's a lot of showcases.
And those, as far as we know, right, those are still taking place.
Those are still taking place, yep. Well, I mean, the girls, I believe, are at Westfield Prep, and then the boys are at Ferdale. The season has been underway, and I think, when you look at some of these teams, I mean, we're going to talk about some of these teams. We're also going to talk about Oxford basketball, about what their outlook is going to be for this season as well. What are you expecting from them on the both boys and girls side?
So the boys have been underway for at least 1 week?
Yep, and girls 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yep, because they always start a little early.
So
forget that. And hoky's going on.
Hockey's going on,
so it's looking like, hey.
And Oxford hockey is playing right now.
They are.
Them, Avondale, Notre Dame Prep combined their hockey teams, so.
You mentioned that a while back. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
And where do they play out of? Is it Detroit DSC?
I don't know where they play. I think they play at the DSC. I'm not
Onyx
sure.
or something?
No, not the Onyx.
Okay, because having those, say it again, Oxford,
Avondale, and Notre Dame Prep, what I've heard.
Avondale.
Yep.
Wow. That's an interesting combination.
It is. You look at M.
So what's the team called?
I'm not sure.
Because sometimes it's Rochester United.
Yeah, Rochester United, Rochester and Adams.
Bloomfield.
M1 is Berkeley, Royal Oak, and Ferndale. all combined.
That's clever.
M1.
Yeah, I like that.
And then
they have
like Lake Orion, Clarkston.
Bloomfield United. They have
Bloomfield Hills.
They have their own.
Team. Okay. Birmingham United.
Birmingham.
United. You're thinking about Grove,
like Groves.
Seahome.
Yeah.
So a lot to get to.
And it's exciting. And usually, in the fall, we are in winter season now, right? In the fall, what are we talking about? Football. A little bit of cross country, a little bit of volleyball, but football is king.
Yep.
Now it's like
basketball is king.
Basketball is the one, and we have our new Harper Woods.
Harper Woods in the league. Yeah, Harper Woods is starting to come. I mean, they've started their girls and boys. I mean, like teams have started this week. So we're gonna look at those.
It's exciting. There's a lot going on, and it's just we're trying to be positive, right, Sam?
Oh yes.
And trying to get back to some sort of normalcy, just like everybody else.
Yep.
After the events
have occurred.
Yep.
I know a lot of people are still shaking over them. You know what I mean? And the scar is gonna hurt for years.
Oh, it's not something that will go away, if at all, ever. For some of the kids affected beyond the primary families there. And it's just a little bit of normalcy is a good thing.
And we need it.
Yeah, and showing support for Oxford. And I'll dig up a website that I'll share with everybody that it's official. It launched late last week, Sammy. I don't know if you heard, but it's the official. If you want to help out the families, you want to help out the community, it's a unified website you can now go to for therapy, resources that are vetted and legit not some shysters out there saying, hey, I can help you. There's food and volunteering options and the little things that you don't even think about that these families and the community of Oxford need at this time. So I'll dig that up, and we'll share that during the podcast. Okay,
let's do that. Yep.
All right, cool.
We ready to go? Ready for the roundup?
4 pages of roundup. There's a lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of games. I have it all for the week for both boys and girls basketball.
It's crazy. Okay, so shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. You're sitting here laughing at me. It's 4 pages. I go, well, it is technically 2 weeks. You didn't,
yeah, technically 2 weeks.
You didn't do...
Oh, no, I didn't put the November 30th games on there.
Good. So there's a lot of games, right? Okay,
yeah.
So where are we at here? Thank you, Sammy, for organizing it for me. Because
this girls first and guys.
This is a truckload of games. So, okay. Let's get into it. Girls, like you said, up first. A lot of games. Interesting games even to kick off the season. Where are we? What's the eye test, right? The initial eyeball. What are we looking at?
If you see my eyeball test, it's on my top 23 at Saginaw Bay 4650 at blogspot.com.
Awesome. Okay, so here we are. On December 6th, Bloomfield Hills 47-29 over Adrian. Ruby Smith had 12 points for BH. Good opening win. Adrian can put together some decent teams.
Adrian's a decent team, but I just think Bloomfield Hills, I like what Kristen Massey's been doing over there.
Yeah, and so that was on the 6th. On December 7th, we had Lake Orion 40-35 over Troy. Maddie Ebert and Aubrey Wishmeyer had 11 points each for Lake Orion. Kendall Zeiter had 14 points for Troy.
That was a big win for the Dragons.
Absolutely.
Huge win against a red opponent, too.
Yep, right out of the gate. Utica Ford 36-31 over Rochester. Alice Mack had 10 points for Rochester. Rochester Lutheran Northwest 48-42 over Adams. Northwest is no slouch there, Sammy.
No, they gave Lake Orion everything can handle.
And Emily Grucki for NW had 25 points. Pontiac Notre Dame Prep 38-25 over Avondale. Clawson 36-32 over Troy Athens.
That was an upset.
Julian Siak had 10 points for Troy Athens. Sterling Heights Stevenson 57-41 over BH. So Bloomfield Hills was in action 2 games that week.
Back-to-back, you know.
Got a W and fall to Clawson. What do you say about that one?
Oh, no, Bloomfield Hills fell to Stevenson.
Or Stevenson, excuse me.
They knocked off Adrian, fell off to Stevenson.
Is that a surprise for you, or do you think that
Stevenson's a very good team? Vance Kirkwood's done a really good job in his first year there.
All right, Groves 45-26 over Detroit University Preparatory. Seaholm 46-32 over Royal Oak.
That's an upset.
Taylor Hartwig 10 points for BS. Utica Eisenhower 44-34 over Berkeley. Ashley Loon, 10 points for Berkeley. Loon, again, with a name we've been talking about for years.
We've been talking about for years, Ashley Loon. It's her senior campaign this year.
A lot of games on the 7th. Now we're moving to December 8th. Madison Heights Bishop Foley, 72-18 over Ferndale. Yikes.
Yep.
December 9th, Grand Blanc 72-43 over Clarkston. Maddie Skaporski, 22 points for Clarkston. Stony Creek 54-36 over Lake Orion. Mia Carson had 20. Sarah LaPrairie, 13 points for Stony Creek. Stony Creek's going to be pretty good.
They're very good. I have my top team this week in top 23.
Awesome. Berkeley 51-33 over Troy in the rout.
Shocker.
Loon had 19 for Berkeley. Charlotte Sabatka had 11 points for Troy. Bloomfield Hills 65-10 over Dearborn Heights Robichaud. On December 10th at the OAA Lakes Valley Challenge at Stony Creek and West Bloomfield. Did they share locations?
Yeah, they shared those locations.
All right, Stony Creek 40, Milford 26. Rochester 44 over Waterford Mott 14. That's a surprise score for Mott. Usually a proud program over there are the Corsairs.
Usually.
What does it say? Natalie Race and Abby Pleasant had 11 points each for Rochester. West Bloomfield 68-55 over South Lyon East. Cindy Hendricks had 19 points. Hooper had 15 points. Summer Davis 12. India Davis 10 for West Bloomfield. Everybody's in double figures. Waterford Kettering 51-44 over North Farmington. Sella Leffler, 24 points. Penelope Crary, 12 points for North Farmington. Rochester Lutheran Northwest in action again against Avondale, 59-37 in the W. Northwest getting it done.
They've been red hot ever since their loss to Lake Orion.
Yeah. Let's see. Livonia Stevenson, 42-34 over Groves. Was it Royal Oak Shrine, 44 over Royal Oak, 44-26. So big win for Shrine over Royal Oak. Is this right?
Yeah.
Ypsilanti 49-7 over Oak Park.
I'm still baffled by this. I can't figure it out.
That is rough going.
Yes.
Southfield Arts and Tech 51-4 over Detroit University Prep. That's a score?
Well, I want to know how they did. That Lake Fenton game was a disaster for them. So that was something to.
So A&T 51-4.
Yeah, 51-4. A&T's been very suspect this year. Very suspect. 2 blowout wins and a bad blowout loss to Lake Fenton.
Yes, and then you have Ferndale University 62, Madison Heights, Madison 5.
Yeah.
Tough sledding for these teams, and I know they're kind of coming off the COVID, and some of these teams weren't even in action last year, but my goodness. Harper Woods 48, Detroit Central 10.
Yeah.
On December 11th, again, OAA Lakes Valley Challenge. These are the games at Lakeland. Clarkston gets back on the winning track, 64-44 over Lakeland.
They played a tough schedule.
Skrapowski had 31 points for Clarkston in the win.
Clarkston's played a tough schedule. Playing Marion and playing Grand Blanc, early on. Got them prepared for this one.
Absolutely. Rochester Adams 28-24 over Walled Lake Northern in a squeaker. Defensive battle?
No
offense.
I don't think either team's that good.
All right, Troy 48-31 over Walled Lake Central. Guion and Zeiter 16 points each. Sabaka had 12 points for Troy. Farmington 38-36 over Walled Lake Western, another tight one.
I watched. If you go on my Twitter, you see the buzzer beater that Farmington did against.
So
Walled
it was
Lake
a buzzer beater.
Yes.
Bree Burns 11 points for Farmington, and who had the buzzer beater?
I don't know what player it was, but I know.
I'm sure it was exciting.
It was very exciting.
Always exciting on a buzzer beater. I love them buzzer beaters. Troy Athens 45-41 over South Lyon, another close game. Emerson had 11 points. Musto 10 points for Troy Athens.
Athens' first win of the year after 3 very head-scratching losses.
West Bloomfield 48. And what is this? Bolingbrook, Illinois?
Yeah, 47. That was at Belleville. Really good game there.
That's crazy. Summer Davis, 19 points. Hooper had a game-winning basket, had 11 points. And India Davis, 11 points for West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield's going to be pretty good, would you say?
Well, they got some things to address. I talked to new coach Darren McAllister about his team, and they got some things to work on.
Yeah, and that's the results from the girls. Moving on to the guys. 2 pages to go. The boys in action on December 6th. Southfield Christian 74, Ferndale University 55.
Sammy Hines has really improved that team, though. It's much closer than the scores indicate.
North Farmington 63, East Lansing 47. Hurst had 29 points for North Farmington. December 7th, Ann Arbor Pioneers 60, Farmington 35. Detroit Cass Tech 73-24 over Southfield A&T. West Bloomfield 45-38 over Groves.
Good game, though.
Jamerson Head had 12 points. Mitchell Say 11 points. Torrey James 10 points for West Bloomfield. Quentin Steele and Nick Lutz 12 points each for Birmingham Groves. Lake Orion 64 over Rochester Lutheran Northwest 39. Alden Ritt 19 points. And Granbury, 14 points. Perkowski had 13 points. And Morrow, 10 points for Lake Orion. Nice balance scoring there for the Dragons. Seaholm, 40-32 over Royal Oak. Chinosis had 13 points for Seaholm. Bloomfield Hills, 67-60 over Novi. That's a pretty good win.
That was a good win for them.
Abramczyk, 20 points. And Lee, 14 points for BH. Rochester 57-32 over Utica Ford. Matt Stone 14 points. Armand Hassani 11 points for Rochester. Brandon 61-44 over Avondale. Avondale trying to find some defense and offense. December 8th, Clarkston was in action. and taking the W 74-31 over Eisenhower. Utica Eisenhower. Keegan was Silk 17 points. Austin had 16 points. And Stevens had 13 points. Nate Steinman had 12 points for Clarkston. Another balanced attack. 74 points is a nice offensive output.
Yes, it is.
Troy Athens 56-47 over Ferndale University. Jonah Batardo, 18 points. Dylan Robertson, 14 points for Troy Athens. Adams 61-31 over Schwartz Creek in the rout. Justin Mims had 19. Gunnar Walters had 12 for Adams. On December 9th, Detroit Western 72-62 over Harper Woods. Rochester was in action against Rochester Lutheran Northwest, but Rochester takes the W 60-23.
It was bad.
Stone 14 points for Rochester. 23 is tough, man.
It is.
12, December 10th. Clarkston 65-44 Lake Orion in this rivalry matchup early in the season. Nathan Steinman 26 points. Austin had 15 for Clarkston. Alden Ritt 15 points for Lake Orion.
Lake Orion, they got to address some secondary scoring. You know, they got the pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, Clarkson will know a lot about them Wednesday when they take on St. Mary's.
Yes, that's going to be a good game.
Yes.
Brighton 51-31 over Farmington. Southfield A&T 59-55 over Livonia Franklin in a tight one. Royal Oak 51-44 over Royal Oak Shrine. Dylan Hoffman had 14 points for Royal Oak. All right. Last page. We have Bloomfield Hills 58-33 over Seaholm. And Grove 63-50 over Redford Thurston. Troy was in action against Troy Athens and taking the W 51-37. Zach Fairless had 22 points for Troy. Pontiac Notre Dame Pret 81-42 over Avondale. Wow. What an offensive output.
For the Irish.
Crazy. Berkeley 56-27 over Pontiac Arts and Tech. Who do we have? Ben Morris 14 points. Maurice 14 points. Jacob Sheriff 12 points. And Rukenreich. Is that right?
Yep.
Rukenreich?
Yep.
11 points for Berkeley. Killing me on these names today. December 11th, Warren De La Salle took care of Ferndale 76-69.
That was in double overtime, too.
Double OT. Oh, that's toughy. North Farmington and Detroit Edison went head-to-head 65-60. North Farmington gets the dub.
Ryan Hurst, 34 points.
Nicely done. Oak Park 61-56 over Warren Lincoln. Ashton Henderson, 22 points for OP, and that's the roundup.
Wow, you look tired.
Good thing I got my water bottle in here today. I wasn't expecting that output of
games,
statistical regurgitation there, Sam.
Forgot to mention Farmington's also 0-2. I mean, they've really struggled.
Right out of the gate. And we were talking about this too, like, you know, basketball season.
There's a lot of games.
There's a ton of games. And though you might come out limping a little bit, you can right the ship.
You can right the ship
and you can get back on track. Yeah, football,
it's harder because there's only 9 games to a season. It's weekly, whereas in basketball you can do it. You have at least 3 days or a day, you know, to
work it out.
And work it out. I mean, there's a reason why they call winter sports the longest season, because
it is.
There are some things that can be worked out. You know what I mean? And basically, it can be done.
And spring is so short.
Yes, and spring is so short. I mean, like, so when you really look at it, the teams have really. I've been impressed with. I'm gonna go boys first, and then we'll go girls. North Farmington start. I mean, they're 2-0. Ryan Hurst has really fit into the negotiation system over there at North Farmington. He had 29 against East Lansing, 34 against Detroit Edison. Just how he's played has been just really, really dominant for North Farmington, especially with the way that they've been early on. Just really impressed with them.
Yeah.
Clarkston's 2-0 start. I was really surprised what they did against Lake Orion.
On the men's side.
Of course, the first half score was 40-15.
So
that was your game right there. I mean,
here's the key question: 40-15 at half.
Yep.
Did he play any of the bench in the second? Because we know traditionally
he does
never plays the bench.
And Clarkson's starting to show a little bit of playing the bench a little bit. I mean, they still go at least 6, 7 deep. You know what I mean? And what I don't understand with them is they got 15 kids on there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they've gone at least 7, 8 deep. You know, when you look at other teams who go at least 9 or 10 deep, you know what I mean? That always helps you. But Clarkston, you know, this mechanism of going at least 5, 6, 7, 5 deep, you know, 6 deep. For them, it's worked. I mean, like under Coach Tim Wasilik, it's even worked under Dan Fife. I mean, obviously, that's the thing you got to look at. So, but I'm curious to see how they do against Orchard Lake St. Mary's on Thursday. I said earlier on the roundup, it was on Wednesday. They play on Thursday.
Yeah.
So that'll be a really interesting game between Clarkson and Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
Yeah, it's yes, I'm excited to see that too. Like,
St. Mary's gotten all the hype, all the attention. It's a rematch. It's a rematch of last year's regional semifinal, where Clarkson had a chance to win it with Zach Austin, but Zach Austin missed a layup. That would have gave Clarkson the upset win. You know, and it's very rare to see Clarkson as an underdog, and they're going to be an underdog in that game against Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to get my bearings from what happened last year, right? So we were in the COVID pain in the neck, right, last year. Some teams didn't even compete.
Right.
So we still have that hangover, Sam, right?
We still do.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh, sure.
Because you're like, what's going to happen? We were just happy that they were on the court playing, right?
And then you look at Ferndale.
And it's like, have they bounced back? Do they have the bodies back? So we see some of these scores, like, I mean, not even OAA, but even outside, like 5 points, 4 points, 10 points, and such. You know,
let's not forget on the girls' side, Ferndale did not play last year.
Yes,
Pontiac did not play last year. So for Ferndale, and they both got new coaches. I mean, Ferndale with Alcatala, and then Pontiac with them Raul Marshall taking over. I mean, like, that's the thing you got to look at here when you're trying to rebuild programs, is especially in the girls' side of things. Whereas, you know, but the one score that really mind boggles me, and this is on the girls' side, is Oak Park. I mean, here's a team that's went to the district final the last 2 years. And yes, they changed coaches off season with Chantel Corson.
And they had a huge graduating. Huge players are leaving. Right?
Yes, they've had a huge graduating class. The fact they only scored 7 points against Ypsilanti for 4 quarters, that's inexcusable.
It seems like you could get to the line.
I mean, I would like to know the stats of that game. I mean, like
what happened?
That's inexcusable. I'm not being mean to you, but that's that's horrendous.
Well, it's also concerning, right?
Major concerning.
Was the defense? Was it a lot of times when you see games like that, it's a press defense, right? Full court, like in your face. Yeah, was that the case? Was it turnovers?
But the fact that only
we got to figure out, do they have injuries? I mean, that is
score
crazy.
7 points in a 4-quarter, 32-minute game. That's insane. That's beyond insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially for a program like Oak Park.
And that's a proud program over there. You know,
yes.
I had Oak Park probably one of my dark horse teams in the blue.
Oh.
You know, this year.
I think you're going to have to
evaluate that. I mean, well,
we got to think too. Hopefully, my concern in this age of what we're living in is a team healthy. I'm hoping the team was okay, right? You know, I
know they're young this year. They're very young this year.
I'm just hoping they're healthy, because if you're running that, I go, who are you playing? Maybe you only had 5 people.
I mean, Ypsilanti's not. They're a decent team, but to get blown up by 42 points, I mean, Oak Park's better than that.
But I'd say 42's 42 is what it is, but 7.
Yeah, the 7.
Yeah.
That's insane.
You can shoot 7 free throws. Maybe it was 7 free throws. Who knows?
I know. I want to know that box score.
Yeah, it's.
I would really like to know that box score, but that's just insane. I mean, you look at the teams in the girls' side that are playing really tough schedules. Clarkston has played a really difficult schedule. Lake Orion's played a really difficult schedule.
On the guys or girls' side?
Girls' side. Those are the 2 teams. Stony Creek's played a really good schedule. I mean, you look at playing a tough schedule. It's going to help you later in the year. It's going to help you.
Yes.
You know,
especially in the basketball
West
ranks.
Bloomfield's played a really difficult schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you see when you look at the top 23, the teams I have there, they have played a ridiculous schedule. I mean, you look at a team like Rochester, Lutheran Northwest. They are a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
I mean, Emily Grookey's a really good star player. I mean, what they've done to Adams and they did to Avondale, which is absolutely insane. I mean, they've really bounced back since their opening game loss to Lake Orion. I mean, and we know Lake Orion's a very good team this year. You look at what they got. I mean, Stony Creek is a really good team. I mean, and then you look at West Bloomfield. We know how good they are. And the reason why I say this with West Bloomfield is once they get everything figured out, look out. I mean, like, and then you look at Clarkson. I mean, Clarkson's played their first two games they played were Birmingham Marion and Grand Lake.
Yes.
Both teams, really good teams.
Yes.
And then they knocked off Lakeland, who's not a bad team, but I think that Lakeland, you know what I mean, is just a little in the Lakes Valley. I mean, when you look at the Lakes Valley, obviously South Lyon East is obviously the top dog in that conference. Lakeland, I probably would say, would be the third best team in there. When you look at the Lakes Valley OAA Challenge, the OAA went 8-1. The only loss was North Farmington and Waterford Kettering. That was a head scratch for me.
Yeah.
Looking at North Farmington, obviously you look at they got Sal Leffler there, you got Penelope Query there.
Yeah.
So that was the only one that mind boggles me, that loss with North Farmington. Trying to figure things out.
And it kind of gives you I like those little preseason challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I call it preseason because it is this season.
Yeah, the Lakes
Valley. I like that because then you can compare. You can see kind of where you're sitting amongst your peers and people that you might run into in other tournaments or in the postseason.
Well, North Farmington, they're basically playing a Lakes Valley schedule. I mean,
yeah, they
got Walled Lake Northern coming up. I mean, they got Walled Lake Northern coming up. They had a defensive struggle with Adams. Adams has been a really weird team to figure out. I mean, lost to Walled Lake Northern. They lost to Lutheran Northwest, and they beat Walled Lake Northern. So they've been a really hard team to figure out.
Yeah.
Athens has been a really hard team to figure out. 1-3. They knocked off a good South Lyon team, but their 3 losses were just mind-boggling. I mean, Clawson, Shrine, and then got to think what the other one was, but and Seaholm. I mean, those are 3 losses. Seaholm's a really good team this year. I'm really impressed with Seaholm. I mean, the way they've been playing. 2-0 start. Good start for Coach Chris Manchester and his team. They found some they found some talent there. I mean, they got some talent there. I mean,
so far, who do you think has surprised you so far in this first 2 weeks? On the guys' side first.
The guys' side, I probably would say, people are going to ask me.
Maybe on the positive, I go, whoa, open your eyes.
Oh, open my eyes?
Yeah.
West Bloomfield. Arnett Jordan has done a really nice job. Now, what I didn't know is they got a transfer there from Detroit Cass Tech and Head.
Cool.
And Head coming over there. So
to West Bloomfield.
Yes. So that's a huge shock for me. I mean, they knocked off a really good Groves team. Everybody else I kind of expected, but West Bloomfield, coming out of nowhere, winning their first game against Groves. Now I'm not sure how it'll proceed later in the year, but West Bloomfield for sure has really been one of those teams that really have surprised me. Now people are going to ask me about Berkeley. Berkeley's another one that's been really impressing me. Off to a 2-0 start. Anytime you beat a Gary Fralick type team, that is not an easy thing to do at all. Because Gary Fralick's one of the most organized coaches in the league.
Yeah.
And Berkeley beat Troy. And that tells me a lot where they're at. I mean, Berkeley could be a player in the blue this year. They could seriously be a player. I mean, Rochester right now will be the favorite right now, but Berkeley is going to be there. Troy Athens be in there, and also Oxford will be in there. So those are going to be the teams I'm really keeping a close eye on. But Berkeley and West Bloomfield are my 2 biggest surprises.
How about on the girls' side?
When I look at the girls' side,
anybody go, whoa, what's happening here?
On the girls' side of things, I mean, obviously, I'm not really surprised with the teams there. I mean,
Everything's
it's
kind of status quo.
kind of status quo.
Everything's happening the way it should.
The way it actually, I'll take that back. Seahome. Seahome starts really impressed me. I mean, 2-0. Chris Manchester's finally got things going in the right direction. He got his daughter Shay there. Shay Manchester's been a really good player for them. Seahome has been a team that's been really impressed. To me, I think they've passed the eyeball test. There's some teams that really haven't passed the eyeball test that I haven't been impressed with, but for me, on the girls' side, on the girls' side, and a positive, Seahome is the one that passed.
That's the one that really sticks out.
They're the one that really sticks out. On the flip side, got my disappointings.
I was gonna say the wah, yeah.
Oak Park, obviously. On the girls' side, just to score 7 points. It's just. And then I'm gonna get a lot of questions from Bloomfield Hills and say like, I mean, like, and say like, we're improving, we're playing good basketball. I mean, like for Bloomfield Hills, I mean, like saying, okay. The Stevenson game really was the one that I was really head scratched at. I mean, because I know Stevenson's a really good team. Under Vance Kirkwood, who's there his first year there, done a really nice job there. Bloomfield Hills has been, I think they're going to be improved, but I just don't know if they're in the right division right now. I just don't know if they're in the right division.
Okay.
That's just my thoughts on Bloomfield Hills right now. But they're so far good start, 2-1. You know what I mean?
Have there been any?
But Oak Park, my biggest disappointment. Girls.
Yeah. Okay.
Boys. Boys. You know, I don't think there's any disappointments right now. Right now, what I've been expecting.
Because we're seeing what you usually see at the start of the season. You get a W, you might have a loss.
Yeah,
you get a W, you get a loss. It's kind of like this back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like teams like, you know, like Lake Orion, I think they're going to be fine. I think that, I think Troy will be fine. I think that, Athens will be fine. I think Groves will be fine despite their start. I mean, like, but... You know, Stony Creek's the one went. They're coming off a loss to Utica. This will be their first game back this week after being off for 8 days. So we'll see what happens.
So also we have some question marks.
Oh yes.
So obviously Oxford.
Oh yes.
They're hitting the court.
They're hitting the court this week.
So happy to see.
Mm-hmm. They're both boys and girls basketball teams are hitting the court.
And the other ones I've not seen any numbers on. Pontiac?
Pontiac is not going to play a boys game until January, is what I've heard, which is mind-boggling. I don't understand.
So is that they're still trying to get late hiring a coach, or
no? It's just I guess
trying to find players.
I don't know what's going on over there with Pontiac. I really don't know. But the girls' side
get on those sources, Sammy.
The girls' side is they've coming off a really tough loss. On the girls' side, Pontiac, they're going to be playing some games this week. So I think they play Detroit Cody this week.
Okay.
So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But Raul Marshall's done a really nice job with that program. They were very competitive in their only loss. I mean,
and that was one of those teams that wasn't around last year.
But Pontiac's girls basketball team is really, I think they're going to take a good step. I really like to hire Raul Marshall there.
Yeah.
I think he's going to build a program there. It's going to take a while to build it back up over there at Pontiac, but I think they're going to be fine going forward. On back to Oxford. I mean, their boys and girls are going to be back on the court this week. I know that they've gotten a lot of they went to numerous places. I mean, like they were honored, and the boys were honored at Michigan State. Went to the Michigan State Penn State game. Michigan, of course.
Patches.
I mean, they wore Tate Muir for the Big Ten championship game. Hannah St. Juliana for their women's game. I mean, like, and they went, and the whole team and the whole program went to that game in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
So when you really look at the honoring, you know what I mean, like, honor the memories, you know what I mean, and I think that's a great thing that both colleges did, to honor the Oxford players in the community.
Yeah.
What they've been through.
When you have programs like MSU and U of M do, some of the top in the nation, and
even some NFL teams have done it.
And reach out to these kids and say, what can we do? And just it's a little things by little gestures by organizations that these kids look up to and watch, and it can only boost your
it can boost their
morale.
Boost their morale. I mean, obviously, when you look at it here, obviously,
we have to say, I mean, too, it's like we're thinking of these kids, and it's like, obviously, it's a time that they're with their parents and their families and their friends, and we were talking before we came on the air about what sports can do to help these kids heal, right?
We're in the winter season.
And, all through this season. And it's like sports is your second family.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Because you're with your teammates. You're with your friends. You're with your family.
You're with your friends and your buddies more so than with your immediate family during this season, right? And even, from track to cross country to all these teams. You might have teams that have hundreds of kids on them. You have teams that have maybe 10, 15 kids on them. They are tight.
Yes.
Because they're all working together.
They're all working together. They're close-knit.
Correct.
I mean, and for Oxford to take the court this week, I mean, their boys are going to be taking on Lapeer. And Lapierre's coming off a really good win against Davison on Friday night. That'll be a tough game for them on the road. And then they play at Romeo, and that's another tough game for them. So they're going to be going right into the fire, basically playing those two teams.
Yeah.
And then you look at the girls' side, you're playing Lapeer, and then you're playing Clarkston.
Those are no gimmies either, right? Very difficult.
Very difficult. Very difficult. I mean, and it's been really hard for them to get practice time. Really hard to get really hard to especially in wake of what's been going on.
So let's reflect on that a little bit. Okay, so ONTV and other community groups around Lake Orion and the Oxford area are working with each other to try to give services or offer support any way we can. And we saw Basketball America.
Right. Oxford's boys went there.
Right. They opened up their doors and said, come on in. And here's a place to play. Here's a place to practice, a place to be together, do your thing, get a distraction, start playing ball again. Right. You mentioned the wrestling team from Oxford came down
at Lake Orion.
They're
practicing at Lake Orion.
Right. It's not a foreign place for those guys. Because we've talked about it. Oxford and Lake Orion are really tied like this.
And I wrote a column on it the other day about, you know what I mean?
We are intertwined.
And I wrote a column on this, about, you look at, and I compare this, Oxford, Lake Orion, me and you've had debates on this, to the classic 30 on 30, if you watch that, the War Eagle World Tide series, you know what I mean? Basically, and athletics, you know what I mean? Lake Orion and Oxford, they know each other. They played against one another. I mean,
these kids have been playing with one another and against each other since they were 4 years old.
Yep.
When you start playing sports, you're playing with Oxford kids. You're playing with Lake Orion kids. And it goes all the way up through the ranks, through the schools, middle school, high school, right?
And then when you look at rivalries, you know what I mean? You're gonna need and push need. You know what I mean? To come together. You know what I mean? When when one or the other is affected. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a no-brainer. It's so intertwined that, the families from Oxford and Lake Orion have mingled with their children for years and years. Decades.
Right.
This is it's an interesting community. I came from Dexter, right? We have Chelsea, Pinckney, those guys are around us, Ann Arbor schools. You really didn't have that. You had mingling, but not like this up here.
Not like this.
You're only a couple miles down the road. What, 5 miles up the road?
Only separated 7 miles between the schools.
Right, between the schools.
7
but
miles.
The towns, it's even closer.
Yeah, the towns are even closer because, when you drive up 24,
you're right there,
you're
right?
there.
There's no space.
People look at rivalries, and you look at Lake Orion, Oxford. It's got to be right up there in the state. In state rivalries. It's got to be up there.
It can be. On a state level, are they looking at this one? Not necessarily. But for us in the community, it's a
It's
whole lot of fun.
You know,
it's a lot of fun.
I mean, football, you got the double trophy game. You got basketball. They've got. I mean, like, you know, that's been a really nice, especially boys and girls basketball. So when you really look at, you know, that rivalry, you know what I mean? And the rivalry's going to always be there.
Yeah.
It'll always be there.
And the rivalry is always fun. It's not this nasty, ugly thing. You know, it's because you are sitting across the stands from it could be your neighbor, depending on how you're lined up. You live right over the border. Or, your kids go to Lake Orion.
Or, you know, I think it'd be, be really awesome would be like if somebody like create like a license plate that says like put the house divided, a Lake Orion logo and an Oxford logo.
It's
that would be something.
And you know, there's households like that where you have
there is
Oxford, Lake Orion grads, you know, parents. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, it's you know.
Let's talk a little bit. I mean, we're at 41. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about. One thing that you always like to bring up on the show is mental health. And we talked about it a ton last year.
Yep.
Right? Because the kid's not in school. They're remote.
The remote learning,
no
the lockdowns,
sports.
No sports.
You're on, you're off. What's going on, right?
Yeah.
The mental health aspect. Now more than ever with what we're dealing with, or with the Oxford, you know, the whole community's dealing with here in Lake Orion and in Oxford specifically. About what happened.
Let's not forget, there's other places that are suffering from this too.
It is absolutely correct. But we're in the, you know, right now the immediacy is Oxford. Now I'm going to share a website with everybody. It just went live last week. I think it was Friday morning. Now, if you would like to help those in Oxford, we have a singular website you can go to offer volunteer help to go. You know, if you have, you know, if there's a need for, like, say, pizzas, can you buy some pizzas for these kids? They're trying to get together in groups, and teams are meeting up. Therapy sessions are happening. The healing is starting, and we're trying to get some normalcy to these kids, right? Athletes, non-athletes, the families affected, the families that are affected on the edges, all that kind of stuff. So we encourage you to go to oxfordstrongcommunity.org. oxfordstrongcommunity.org. And there, community members have come together from Oxford and Lake Orion to put together a unified spot, Sam, that you can go to. You have mental health resources that if you need a therapist or you need to talk to somebody, they're vetted. They're real people, not some shyster saying, I can help you, and taking your money or doing it. These are legit professionals that can give you a hand. There's even, if you have an event or gathering space like ONTV does, we have space in our studio that we can help out these kids, which we did. The Oxford golf team last Friday, they came in and did a therapy Zoom session with somebody, right? And so if you can sign up, you can put your resources on this website. If you want to, there's an immediate needs list. So things that are happened daily that these kids need. And these families need that. If you can help out, it's listed right there. You can say, I sign up Genius. You can click on it. You can go, I can do that. What do I need to do? Where do I need to drop it off? Okay? oxfordstrongcommunity.org. That's your place. If you want to help, that's where you go. Okay?
I encourage those in OA Nation to go on this website.
Absolutely. A lot of people... it's been promoted on Fox 2, 4, and 7, you know, all across Southeast Michigan, and sharing around the community and social media. So the mental health, we had the Oxford golf team in. Their coach is fabulous, Gretchen. She's amazing. And to sit and talk to her and about the kids and to have them go through this session and talk to somebody, like you said, your family. They came in as a family, Sammy, and sat down and had a chat.
That's the thing you got to look at, especially with sports teams. I mean, like, I think when you look at community healing, sports is a really important aspect of community healing.
Yes.
Because it's a sort of pride. Obviously, you know, when you look at the blue and gold, I mean, Oxford, you know, a lot of people look at Oxford, what they're known for. You know what I mean? Oxford's had some really great sports powerhouses. They are a wrestling powerhouse. They have been football's starting to get back into it under Coach Zach Line.
Looking good.
You look at boys basketball to Steve Laidlaw, girls basketball to Rachel Pryor. I mean, like, everything, that they've been through, you know what I mean? The community there's been through.
Yeah.
Sports is the ultimate healer because it takes pride,
Yeah.
It puts pride in you.
Well, it's pride, but it also is, like you said, it's a community inside of a community.
Yes.
Right? Family inside of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And getting these kids back together again. I talked to a parent of an Oxford athlete. I'm a parent.
Yes, I know.
And I just had to, two parents looking at each other going, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't know her. We are.
I know a lot of people in the Oxford community.
I know, but it's like one of these things where it's just somebody who you come across and you said, how can we help you? How are you doing? What do you need? And there's so many things that we don't even think of that we can't comprehend that these kids are going through and these families are going through. So OxfordStrongCommunity.org. Hop on there if you really want to help. And for God's sake, stay off social media, being critical of everything that you see that, I don't agree with it. Just shut up, okay? Stay off of that stuff. Think of these kids. They don't want to see any of this. You're just going to add to stress. You're not helping anything.
Yeah, not helping anything.
It's like you don't need to be – we don't care that you're upset.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help? I'm sorry. I have a lot of anger.
I know you do.
About all this stuff. And, but with these kids getting together, when you told me that the Oxford guys and girls are going to get on the court again, I was thrilled.
Yes.
Because you go, yes.
It's some really interesting matchups they got to deal with. I mean, they got some interesting games, though. I mean, the Lapeer game for them, I know both their boys and girls are playing Lapeer. The boys' side could be a little bit challenging for them. When I look at the outlook for Oxford basketball this year, I think their girls are going to be pretty good this year.
Mm.
I mean, Miranda Winemko, Peyton Richter.
Now they're competing in the
white.
Okay.
And then the boys are in the blue. So when I look at the Wildcats this year, I mean, they got a good team. I mean, when I look at the white, and I did this a couple weeks ago when I did the basketball previews, Oxford and Lake Orion are going to be really interesting because I think those are the two best teams in the blue and the white this year. Mm. People are going to say, well, what about North Farmington, Rochester? I mean, when I look at program strength, when I look at from a program strength component, from of course Oxford relying a lot on their youth this year. Besides Winemko and Richter, I know they got some good ones as well. Kayla Casper's not a bad player, but I think Oxford's going to be as good as Miranda Winemko and Peyton Richter carry them, and that's going to be the key for the Wildcats and the girls' side. On the boys' side. You look at Oxford, and it's going to be very interesting this year for them. I mean, obviously Bryce Essman's back. I know they got a couple kids back. John Achudo is one I'm looking forward to watching this year for them. But Logan Rosansky's their best player. Then you got Alec Brown. I mentioned Bryce Essman in the interior. Mitchell Viviano in the playing the power forward position. So when I look at Oxford, the question for me is going to be how is their depth going to be? That's the big question for Coach Steve Laidlaw.
Yeah.
Now I know what's going to help Oxford is they're going to be playing inspired because here's why. When you went through like what they did, it's going to be, they could virtually say, like, you know what? Have a T-shirt that says Oxford versus everybody. That's what I view Oxford. You know what I mean? They're going to be playing inspired basketball this year.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised. They can make some noise this year.
And one of the odd things that I don't even know if anybody's talking about, when will they play at home? Right? Because the school
won't be open until January.
Yeah, it's kind of been, it's kind of understood they're not going back until after the new year.
After the new year. So,
and I know, even talking to some of the parents, like I mentioned,
their first game,
just walking into that building is kind of, is tough. It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be very difficult.
So, will they play in the building? Will they be on the road for a number of?
The first game would be on the January 4th on the road, at home against Troy. That's the boys.
All right. So we're hoping for a home opener on the 4th.
On the 4th. And if they don't do that, then it's the 7th against Lake Orion. So
of course. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you could say the welcome back to the comfy confines of Oxford High School against your rival down the road.
That would be really interesting.
Wouldn't that place be rocking?
That place would be rocking if that were the match. If that happened. I mean, like,
I think it's gonna be rocking anyway.
It'll be rocking anyway.
Everybody's gonna come out and support these kids. Like, they're gonna pack the stand.
And then on the girls' side of things, not sure when. I haven't looked at the schedule yet for Oxford girls.
But I'm just hoping they can get back home because, on the road all the time, it can take a toll.
It does when you're on the road all the time. I mean, it does take its toll on you.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take its, it will take its toll, but it's going to get them better. I mean, like, when
any
you look
type
at
of distraction, I
any
think
type of distraction. I mean, I know their district's going to be very difficult for both of them. Having to go up to Davison to see teams like Grand Blanc, Davison, Lapeer.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, that's really difficult.
Yeah, no favors there.
No. And, when you look at Oxford, we know this is a strong community. We know their basketball teams are going to be pretty good. We know their wrestling team's going to be pretty good. I mean, the fact that they're together,
yeah,
it's going to help them heal. Yeah. It'll help them heal because imagine if you don't have sports, then it's going to hurt mentally.
Yeah. It
will really hurt. And we don't know if the other, things in the Oxford community, like, when is the band get back together? When's the
the other family type groups, right?
When
you have
get back
theater,
together?
you have band,
Mm-hmm.
The different types of clubs, the robotics teams, all that sort of thing.
I mean, they're gonna have to go off site, you know what I mean, to to bond.
It's difficult to get those guys back together.
It's going to be really difficult.
Unless you're in school, right? I mean, band, you're with, it's a class.
Yeah, band's a class.
And then, unless, like marching band, you're outside a lot and you're doing that for hours on end with your friends and your band family, right?
Yeah.
But, we're just hoping for the best, as all of you are too, who are listening. But it's just one of those, we get them on the court, get them playing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see on that Tuesday, you know what I mean? When Oxford, their girls play Lapeer and their boys play Romeo. And those are going to be really interesting games. I mean, and then on Friday, of course, Oxford goes to the Clarkston Junior High to play Clarkston. And then, because there's the Oakland County Wrestling meet at the high school. And then you have the boys traveling to Lapeer on that Friday. So it'll be really interesting, to see what happens there between, but it's a good, I know they have buses going to be leaving the Legacy Center for them to go on the road.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I could see a caravan following them down to wherever, to their games. Can't you? The community coming out and just being with them.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if, you have all the stands full for at Lapeer, especially because how close Oxford and Lapeer is. You know what I mean? And then of course Oxford Romeo. You know what I mean? That's still pretty close. That's close. And then Oxford and Clarkston. That's technically close. You know what I mean? But so I'm curious to see how Oxford responds to being on the court together, how they've been practicing, how they've been like, during this time of need. I mean, where they've been practicing. That's something that, I really like to know. I mean, because it's really been difficult for this group to get practice.
Because I've heard from the parents saying that they had a gathering, the students were gathered, the teams were gathering at the middle school, Oxford Middle School.
Well, they got a big gym. Yeah, they got a big.
Well, they have a big gym, but still, it's the feeling of walking into a school that kind of weirded them out, right? It's just not comfortable doing that. Some of your kids, they say, "I just want to stay home for a bit. I didn't want to think about school." Other kids are like, "I want to get back to the people that I like and are my friends Because
this is where sports is important.
Well, sports is important, but even inside of sports, you have an extended friends group outside of sports too. The kids that don't participate, they have friends too, and those kids can help each other heal, right?
Absolutely,
So, yeah, it's going to be ongoing, and we're going to be reporting on it, right, Sam? And
obviously keeping an eye on
we're looking for positives and ways we can help and encouragement and all that good stuff. So, we're at 55. But one more time, I'd like to get that website out there, oxfordstrongcommunity.org, if you'd like to help out and sign up and offer your time and resources, if you have them, spaces for these kids to meet. Like you said, where do they practice? Where can they meet? And just as a team to have a meeting, to spend some time together and just decompress, right? So oxfordstrongcommunity.org. Check it out.
My final thoughts this week, obviously, there's some games I'm keeping a real close eye on this week. Clarkson, Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, the big one looming this week. That one's going to be really interesting there.
On the road or at home?
It is at Clarkson, so that'll be really interesting there. Couple games I'm keeping a real close eye on. Couple teams I'm really keeping an eye on this week. On the boys' side, teams I'm keeping an eye on. Ferndale, how they respond after their tough double overtime loss to Warren D. LaSalle.
Yeah.
On the also Lake Orion, they got 3 games this week. Lumen, Rochester's a very difficult game for them. Troy, Athens, and then they play.
And those are the men.
Yes, and then they play Bridgeport this weekend out at Corona.
Ooh,
so that'll be really interesting there. And then also another team to keep an eye on is Rochester. I mean, Rochester, they're out to a 2-0 start. That Tuesday game, Lake Orion, could that be a statement game for them? That is a possibility there to keep a real close eye on. Adams is the one I'm keeping a close eye on as well. So, and then on the girls' side, Stony Creek, they got Macomb Lansquith, North Lumen. Really interesting to see what happens there. I'm keeping an eye on Oxford. See how they do this week against Lapeer and Clarkston. Especially that Friday game against Clarkston. That'll be really interesting there.
Yeah.
And then Oak Park, I'm keeping a real close eye on them.
Can they bounce
back? I mean, and then Ferndale University on the boys' side. Forgot to mention them before we go. Despite the record, I really like where Coach Jamie Hines has that program going, despite their 0-3 start. So that's another team I'm keeping a real eye on going forward.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off here. Make sure, everybody, follow the website that Ian was...
OxfordStrongCommunity.org.
So I encourage OAA Nation to do that to help the families of Oxford and the community of Oxford. They need our support right now.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to sign off here. Take care. God bless. See y'all next week, everybody, and Oxford Strong.
Absolutely. See you, Sam. OAA Now is produced by Sammy Taormina. The views on this show are his and mine alone. Again, OxfordStrongCommunity.org. Get out there. Help your neighbors. Help your friends. Help those in need. Sign up today with your resources and your time. That's it for OAA Now. We'll see you next week. See ya.